Hello, how's everybody doing? And welcome to Ivylaw Law Office's Q&A weekly with myself, Wilberforce Ajikum, and
I'm Attorney Jumoke Oladapo. Welcome.
welcome. Today we're going to talk about a special area of immigration benefit specifically for kids, juveniles. It's the SIJ, which is Special Immigrant Juvenile Certification. It's a way in which classification where immigrants, children who are in the country, can go ahead and seek a green card, and it's a process and eligibility requirements for that. So, what it is, particularly, I'm going to read it to you now, so you really have an understanding of what the SIJ is. If you are in the United States and need the protection of a juvenile court because you have been abused, abandoned, or neglected by a parent, you may be eligible for a special immigrant juvenile classification. If SIJ classification is granted, you may qualify for lawful permanent resident here in the United States, which is also known as a green card. Now, there are specific eligibility requirements for SIJ classification, and I'll let Jumoke start with the first
I look like a
juvenile.
juvenile.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Alrighty. So, this classification is something that a lot of people should know about. And first of all, you're a juvenile. That means you're a minor. We're located in Maryland, so the minor age has to be 20. It's 21 years old. This is state specific, so in other states, being a minor could be 18 or 19 for the purpose of SIJS, but in Maryland, it's 21 years old, so that's one of it. The second thing that you have to know is that the minor child, that means under 21 years of age, needs to be currently residing in the United States. So you can apply for it if you're currently living in the United States and you're under 21. That those are two of the classification requirements. You cannot apply for this if you're outside the country. Um, if you're out of status, that's one of the things you want to speak with an attorney about. So if you're a minor living in the United States under 21, out of status, speak with a lawyer on whether or not you qualify for SIJS. Also, you have to be unmarried. Am I right?
Mm.
Okay. So that means you've never been married, or maybe you were previously married and the marriage has been terminated. You want to add some more to it?
Well, Jumoke said it all, but yes, it has been terminated,
So,
and either via annulment, divorce, or death.
okay.
Okay, so you just have to make sure you fit those particular eligibility requirements exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
So additional requirements for you to qualify will be that you have to have the order of a juvenile court. So in this type of process, there's the involvement of the circuit court or the state court that has jurisdiction to determine matters of custody or guardianship. So it's a two process thing that the court will have to do an SIJS fact finding, eligibility fact finding, to make sure that um, you are able to be under the jurisdiction of the court, either the court granting custody to whoever your custodian is, or the court granting guardianship to whoever um, you choose to be a guardian. And more so, the court has to make determination whether you have been subject to abuse, neglect, abandonment, or any other similar form of or any other similar basis that looks like that. Okay, so and that's the major part of it. So have you been subject to abuse, neglect, abandonment, or a similar basis under the law by one or both parents? Okay, so it's something that I see that, let's say your parents neglected you when you were young, or your parent you were subject to abuse when you were young, or you were abandoned, or even if you've lost one of your parents, that could be an abandonment situation. Then now you look for a guardian, you're subject to the jurisdiction of the state court. The court can make a determination based on that fact. All right. Also, when you have all that in place, reunification with one or both parents will should not be viable. That means you cannot go back and be under the custody of one of your parents, the parents that is the abuser, or under the guardianship. So you can't reconnect with your parents basically. And another thing that the court looks at is um, you cannot return to your country of original residence. So, for example, if you were not a US citizen and you come from Africa, somewhere in Africa, and maybe your parents is in Africa, you're here, then you may be able to you're under 21, you get a guardian, you have a guardian here, you have this past issue with your parents, and you cannot reunite with that parent. Reunification with one of both parents is not viable. And because of that, and there's no other person back home in your country of origin that will be able to take care of you, the court is going to look at all those to see whether that makes you eligible for the status. And the court is going to have to give an order saying that you meet the requirement for an SIJ. And after all that is done, then you can file an application with USCIS with the order. I believe it's not something you should do by yourself. I believe it's something that you should seek the assistance of an immigration attorney to help you out with. And this can be a benefit to a lot of minor children that are living in the United States and have been subject to abuse, neglect, or abandonment by one or both parents. All right.
All right. Now, again, this you need an immigration lawyer, but you also need somebody that can do state court part of it.
Yeah, exactly. So your immigration attorney, if you're an immigration attorney, for example, I'm licensed in Maryland, and I practice immigration law. I can dual represent. Do you understand? So I can represent you before the family court because I'm familiar with family law, and I can do that part. Then also do the immigration part because I'm an immigration attorney. But what I realize in a lot of cases is that you can work with someone that knows about SIJs in the state court, and not a lawyer separately in the state court piece of it, than your immigration attorney with the immigration piece of it.
Okay, so just to clarify, you want to make sure your attorney is both familiar with immigration and able to practice immigration and family law in the state court. Otherwise, you're going to end up needing two different lawyers, one who's able to practice in state court and then also an immigration attorney.
Exactly.
So you may need two if one can do both. Okay, so that's very significant that you understand the difference. So when you initially meet with your lawyer, make sure that question comes up, that whether or not they're eligible to practice in both jurisdictions. Now, does the U.S. Does the guardian have to be a citizen?
Not necessarily so.
Okay.
No, they just have a lot of time. They just have to be residents
Okay. So
of the state,
okay.
subject to the jurisdiction of the court.
Okay. And how long do they have to be, for Maryland in particular, how long do they have to be here for the state court to have jurisdiction of the children?
For you to be classified as a resident in Maryland, then you have to have lived in Maryland for 6 months.
Okay.
Okay. So for the state court, for the court to have jurisdiction over you in a custody matter or guardianship matter, then you have to have lived in Maryland for 6 months.
Okay. You said for Maryland, the cutoff is 21.
Yeah.
Now, can you file after 21, or you have to have everything filed before 21?
You have to have both the state court order before 21, and you have to file your USS petition before 21 years of age.
Okay. There's no wiggle room. 22.
No. For a lot of states are 18. So if Maryland is making it 21, that's enough 2 years grace or 3 years grace.
So Maryland's better than most.
Yeah.
All right. So is there anything else folks should know generally other than contact you in Maryland for help? But anything else?
So basically, this is it. I'm going to run through the definition of who qualifies again. And if you feel you qualify, make sure you're speaking with a lawyer. All right. So you are a child under 21. You're unmarried. You've been subject to abuse, neglect, abandonment by one or both parents. Abandonment also may include death of one parent. Reunification with one or both parents is not viable. You're not able to return to your country of original residence because there's no other person that'll be able to take care of you. You are subject also to the jurisdiction of the state court or the juvenile court. And if the court has jurisdiction over you and all the um, eligibility criteria are met, the court will issue an order finding you eligible for SIJS, and then you can use that court order to file an immigration petition for SIJ. That's it.
All right. So that's the SIJ situation eligibility criteria in a nutshell. If you do need help, we can help you in Maryland, in particular for your SIJ petition and application and appearance before the court.
Yeah, and I also want to emphasize that it's a way to get a green card or lawful permanent residence, but the card, that benefit is only for you. Okay, you cannot use it to file for the benefit of a parent. So it's just for you. It's an humanitarian relief or humanitarian benefit that USCIS has offered. So that green card, you get it, you can live and work in the United States and even become a citizen, but you cannot file for your parent.
Okay.
All right. So that's it. That's something that you need to know. And the process, because it's limited, the visa kind of a thing is limited on a yearly basis. The processing time could be long, but if you enter the United States and lawfully, legally, you're able to file for I-485. You're able to get a work authorization easily. If you did not, then you have to have your I-130, I-360 approved first before you can well, it may be more difficult to file upfront everything together for you to get a work authorization.
Okay. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure you talk to a competent attorney about these issues. They're highly technical and legal in nature. It's not just about filling out a form. So you really want to talk to an attorney that knows what they're doing about in this particular area, even more so than other areas. So how do they get a hold of you, Jimoke?
I'm here. You can call our office, Ivylaw Law Office. We're in Maryland, and our phone number is 301-276-0887. 301-276-0887. You can visit our website, www.ivylaw.office.com. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're all over the social media. But we'd love to hear from you, so please give us a call. We'll be able to assist you.
All right. Thank
And
you.
like us, like our YouTube, subscribe.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much.
Subscribe, like, comment.
Comment
If you
as
have a
well.
question, add it in the comments. We will respond to you. If you have anything else you want to talk to us about, feel free to call the office and we'll be happy to talk to you. So, with that being said, we will have a webinar down the road on this particular subject. So, please be on the lookout. We put our schedules out on Eventbrite and Facebook and other places. You can just search for Ivylaw Law Office and you'll see what we have planned and upcoming. So, you can join in. Okay? Thank you for listening to us, and we'll see you next time next week. All right?
Thank you.
Bye
Have a
bye.
good day.